first of my free online jazz piano tutorials. Now there's some great stuff out there on the internet, YouTube, by people that are my heroes just as they are yours, people like Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock. But sometimes as someone who's taught jazz piano for many years, people just want to start with the nuts and bolts, and so that's what I'd like to do here, just unpack some of the techniques that jazz piano players use. And today we're going to start with dominant chord voicings. We're going to start by looking at the basics of the jazz and contemporary music chord language protocols. Usually you state the root of the chord followed by the roof of the chord, unless there's any alterations. So in the case of a simple chord symbol like C7, that consists of a C major triad with a flat 7 added. By flat 7 I mean a minor 7th interval. The flat 7 is a whole step below the root of the chord. So there we have a C7, major triad, flat 7. A D flat 7, a D7, an E flat 7, and so on. But the trouble with this is that if you play a C7 like this, it gets to sound a bit boring and predictable, and bass players complain because you keep putting the root of the chord on the bottom and you're cutting into their function. So most jazz players, most jazz piano players, tend to use the type A and B voicing system for dominant chords, like a C7. So let's have a look at the structure of the A and B type dominant 7th chord voicings. Type A starts with flat 7 on the bottom. So if you're looking at a C7, there's flat 7. Flat 7 is a whole step below the root of the chord. After that, it's the 9th, or what you might think of as 2. That's a whole step above the root of the chord. After that is 3, which is a whole step above 9, or 2 whole steps above the root of the chord. And after that comes 13, which you might think of as 6. And that's a half step below the flat 7, an octave up. So there's your type A, C7. Now I'll play that with my right hand, and I'll play the bass note so that you can hear the function of the chord. Now that's a bit more interesting than that. Now I'm going to play that voicing again with both hands, with 2 fingers on each hand, like a vibes player playing mallets. There's C7 type A. Now you might wonder why, if it's got a 9th in it and a 13th in it, it's still called a C7. That's because most jazz repertoire uses generic chord symbols, and the jazz pianist is expected to make more of the harmony than the chord symbol asks for. So the type A and B voicings insert a 9th and a 13th in the case of dominant 7th voicings. Now the reason why I played this voicing, which is meant to be played with one hand, with 2 hands, is to show how you can invert a type A to become a type B, or a type B to become a type A. All you have to do to turn a type A into a type B is to take either the top 2 voices and drop them an octave. So you've got this, there's your type B C7. Or take the bottom 2 voices up an octave. There's your type B C7, although it's getting a little bit thin, it's a bit high now. So here we have the type A C7 and the type B C7. So let's recap the numerical structure of the type A and the type B dominant 7th voicings. Right now we're looking at a C7. The type A is flat 7, 9, 3, 13. The type B is 3, 13, flat 7, 9. It's important to remember those numbers. Type A dominant 7th voicings is flat 7, 9, 3, 13. Type B, 3, 13, flat 7, 9. And they sound like this. can also thin these voicings out. For instance, you can, in the type A, you can thin it out like this. You can remove the 9th and it sounds like that. Or you can remove the 9th and the 13th and you're just left with the flat 7 and the 3rd. In the type B, you can leave out the 13th and it sounds like that. Or you can leave out the 3rd and it sounds like this. Or you can leave out the 13th and the 9th and it sounds like this. It's just a 3rd and a flat 7. So we've seen that the A and B dominant 7th voicings are really the same voicing, they're just inverted. And the reason they invert is that you can keep the range of the entire A and B voicing system in about the middle of the piano, the sweet spot between about a major 6th above middle C and a major 6th below middle C. Within that range, pretty well, your A-B voicing system, not just for dominant 7th voicings, but for all voicings, will usually reside. That's the sweet spot where you can play nice sounding voicings and also do some improvisation. Right now, I'm going to give you an exercise that will help you to familiarize yourself with the A and B voicing system in all positions. As an exercise to learn the type A and B voicing dominant voicings, we're going to take the voicings, mostly alternating the type, around the cycle. Now, by around the cycle, we mean the cycle of fifths, which is descending in fifths or ascending in perfect fourths. So we're going to do a C7, an F7, a B flat 7, an E flat 7, an A flat 7, D flat 7, F sharp 7, B7, E7, A7, D7, G7, back to C7. Let's start with the C7. We'll play the voicings with the right hand and the roots of the chords with the left to sort of harmonically anchor the voicings. The C7, type A, flat 7, 9, 3, 13, F7, type B, 3, 13, flat 7, 9, B flat 7, type A, flat 7, 9, 3, 13, E flat 7, type B, 3, 13, flat 7, 9, A flat 7, type A, flat 7, 9, 3, 13, C sharp 7 or D flat 7, type B, 3, 13, flat 7, 9, F sharp 7, type B, and there is a reason why this time we don't alternate, but you'll find that out later in our study of voicings. F sharp 7, type B, 3, 13, flat 7, 9, B7, type A, flat 7, 9, 3, 13, E7, type B, 3, 13, flat 7, 9, A7, type A, flat 7, 9, 3, 13, D7, type B, 3, 13, flat 7, 9, G7, type A, flat 7, 9, 3, 13. And play it in time, it sounds like this. You'll notice there are 2 points in that cyclic exercise where the forms don't alternate. It goes from type B to type B, and on the second occasion goes from type A to type A. But other than those 2 occasions, the form of the voicings always alternates from AB, AB, AB. Right, let's look at how we can apply those dominant 7th, type A and type B voicings. And we're going to apply them to the blues, which often consists mostly of dominant 7th voicings, or dominant 7th structures, that major triad flat 7 on top. In this case, I'm going to play a blues where all the chords are dominant 7ths And it's only in later tutorials that we'll look at other chord types in the A and B voicing system, but we're starting with the dominant structure. I'm going to play a blues whereby for 12 bars, I'll just play the left-hand voicings just to show you how you can comp. Comp is African American slang for accompanying. It means that you're playing the harmonic accompaniment with a certain amount of rhythm. I'll play that for 12 bars, and then I'll play some right-hand blues for the next 12 bars. And in the next tutorial, we'll look at some of the aspects that you can incorporate into your right-hand blues improvisations. Okay, here we go. 12 bars of left-hand comping, and then 12 bars of right-hand improvisation added to the left-hand comping. And even that last voicing can be evolved out of the type A and B voicings. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in and having a look at my first tutorial, which is on the dominant seventh voicings, type A and B, and their application to a form like the blues. Next week I'll be looking at some of the right-hand content for the blues-based improvisations. All of these tutorials are of course free, but if you'd like to explore these subjects in greater detail, I have a book called The Craft of Jazz Piano, which is the result of 30 years of research as a jazz piano teacher. So if you'd like to explore these subjects in a little more detail, or in a lot more detail, I have a book which has taken about 30 years of teaching experience and research to compile. It's called The Craft of Jazz Piano. It's in 3 sections. The first section is First Steps, which is basic theory, which contains, at the end of each section, there are tests and drills. The second section is Essential Jazz Theory, which is about what you encounter in 3 or 4 years in a BMUS program of jazz or contemporary music studies at the Bachelor of Music level. And the third section is The Craft of Jazz Piano, which has all the hardcore jazz techniques plus practice strategies. Okay, see you next time.